The first night, I heard my name whispered through the wall. I thought I was dreaming. By the fifth night, my little brother was asking me questions only our dead grandfather knew the answers to. And by the seventh, someone or something started using my father's voice to make us hurt each other. If you've ever wanted to watch karma serve ice-cold justice, through creaking floors, buried secrets, and one family's descent into madness, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready. This is a story of how a haunted farmhouse turned revenge into something far darker and far more personal. We moved into the farmhouse in July. Me, my mom, my dad, and my 10-year-old brother, Jacob. My dad had just lost his job. My mom couldn't stop crying for days. And me? I was 17, numb, angry, and exhausted. We were broken, and desperate. So when my uncle offered us this old family property in the middle of nowhere, rent-free, my parents jumped. The place was beautiful in a creepy, historic kind of way. 2 stories. Wraparound porch. Massive oak trees. But the neighbors, if you could call the cows across the field neighbors, avoided eye contact. The mailman wouldn't even drive up the long gravel driveway. And when the realtor handed my dad the keys, she didn't say, "Congratulations." She said, "Don't go in the basement at night. Just don't." That first night, I swear I heard whispering in the walls. Just soft, unintelligible murmurs behind my headboard. I sat up, thinking maybe Jacob was trying to prank me through the heating vents. But they weren't words I understood. They were emotions. Grief, regret, fury. I pressed my ear against the plaster and whispered, "Hello?" The voice stopped. The next morning, I didn't say anything. Didn't want to freak out my mom. She was barely holding together as it was. But then Jacob said something that made my stomach freeze. "Grandpa says we shouldn't sleep with the windows open. The fog brings bad things." Our grandfather had died 5 years ago. Jacob was 5 then. He didn't even remember the man, but he was quoting him verbatim. Over the next few weeks, things shifted. My dad, who'd been depressed and checked out, started getting weirdly intense. He'd spend hours pacing the attic, muttering under his breath. One night, I walked in on him screaming into an unplugged radio. My mom stopped cooking. She just sat on the porch swing every night, mumbling prayers, her rosary cutting lines into her palms. And Jacob? He drew pictures. Horrible ones. A man hanging from the rafters. A woman with her mouth sewn shut. Our family, burning alive in the kitchen. When I confronted him, he said, "They lived here before, and they're still here. They want us to know what happened." I started digging. Old property records, police reports, microfilm newspaper archives at the tiny library in town. Turns out, the house used belonged to the Caldwell family. 1971, a minister, his wife, their 3 kids. One night, out of nowhere, he snapped, shot his family, then himself. No warning, no motive, case closed, except there was one detail that stuck with me. Neighbors reported hearing voices coming from the walls for days leading up to the killings. No source was ever found. I knew then whatever happened to them was happening to us. I came home one night to find my mom in the kitchen, staring at the stove. "He says it's the only way to be free," she whispered. "The fire will make it clean again." The stove was on. The flames were blue. Jacob started referring to himself as Timmy. That was the name of the Caldwell's youngest son. And my dad, he grabbed me one night and shook me, screaming, "Don't let her do it again. Don't let her," so their mouths shut. His eyes were wild, like something was driving him. This house wasn't just haunted. It was feeding on us, becoming us. I couldn't run. I couldn't get them to leave, but I could make the house suffer. I started talking back to the voices, mocking them, reading blasphemies into the walls, playing punk rock at full volume through the floorboards. Then I found it in the basement, hidden under loose floorboards. A diary. It belonged to Mrs. Caldwell. The final page read, "He said the house speaks to him now, tells him what we deserve." I tried to bury the voices, but the walls remember. They always remember. That gave me an idea. A sick, Twisted idea. The house wanted a story, a tragedy, a ritual, so I gave it one. I reenacted the original night, but I was in control. I set the table, played 70s gospel music, lit candles. I brought my family to the living room, and I read from the diary. The walls shrieked, literally shrieked. Pane cracked, lights flickered, and then I screamed, "You want a family? Take me instead." I slammed the diary into the fireplace. The moment it caught flame, the house shook, like it was alive, like it was choking. The whispers turned to screams, and then silence. The next morning, my dad didn't remember the attic. My mom made pancakes and smiled for the first time in months. Jacob asked where Timmy went. The house? Cold, quiet, dead. But I know better. It's still here. It's waiting. So every year on the anniversary, I visit. I sit in the living room. I stare into the cold fireplace. And I remind it, you picked the wrong family. We broke the cycle. We buried your story and burned your voice. I didn't mean to go back. I wasn't even supposed to be in the state. But when I got the call that Jacob had been sleepwalking again, speaking in voices that weren't his, I knew the house wasn't done. He'd been drawing again, just like before. But this time, the pictures were of me, standing in front of the farmhouse, eyes completely blacked out. There was a note on the back of one sketch, written in a child's handwriting. "You didn't finish the story." I returned to the farmhouse alone. Everything was where we left it, but the silence wasn't peaceful. It was loaded, like holding your breath before a scream. I walked straight to the fireplace. The diary had burned, yes, but underneath the ash, something new had been left behind. A small charred box. Inside, an 8mm film reel. No label, just the date, July 9th, 1971, the night of the original murders. And scrawled into the inner ring, barely visible, "The house doesn't haunt people. People haunt the house." I borrowed an old projector from the library, bribed the night clerk with a Starbucks gift card, and locked myself in a storage closet to watch. The footage was grainy, black and white, soundless. At first, it was just shaky footage of the Caldwell family eating dinner. A woman, Mrs. Caldwell, serves pie. The kids laugh. But the minister, the father, just stares. He doesn't blink, doesn't move. Suddenly, the camera drops. There's a scream. And then, the film glitches. But not like normal damage. The screen fills with static, then flashes words in all caps. IT wasn't him. Then another flash. She started it. I froze. Everything we thought we knew about the original murders. It was a lie. I raced back to the house and tore up the living room floorboards. There had to be something we missed. And buried in the crawl space beneath the stairs, I found it. Not another diary. A voice recording. Cassette. Labeled Confession, M. Caldwell. I played it. Her voice crackled out, low, shaking. I thought it would stop after the first one, but the voices kept coming. They said if I didn't finish it, they'd take the children instead. So I sewed their mouths shut with my own hands. I blamed him. I said he lost his mind. But I was the one who started it. And now the house wants someone new. My hands were shaking. The whole story, everything I thought I understood, it was flipped. The mother was the killer. She made the house into what it was. The voices were hers, not the minister's. She carved her madness into the walls. And now, it wanted me to continue the story. There was another note taped to the back of the recorder. You burned the book, but you kept the voice. That makes you next. I could feel it again. The whispers. But this time, they weren't in the walls. They were in me. I had two choices. Let the house finish what it started, or give it an ending it couldn't survive. So I did something radical. I invited the press, a documentary crew, paranormal investigators, psychics, skeptics, all of them. I staged a live seance, wired the house with cameras, lit every candle I could find, and when the whole world was watching, I played the confession. The walls screamed. Cameras shattered. One of the lights exploded over the mantel. And then the house spoke. Liar, you invited them here. You will feed us all. But I wasn't scared. Not anymore. Because this time, everyone heard it. I poured gasoline through every room. And then I walked outside, looked right into the camera, and said, this house lied. It murdered 5 people. It tried to take my family. And now it's done. I dropped the match. The fire started slow. The wind howled. And then it roared, like a banshee, like a demon being dragged into hell. The foundation cracked. The porch collapsed. And with one last blood-curdling shriek, the Caldwell farmhouse fell in on itself. We salted the ground the next day. It's been 3 months. The crew turned the story into a hit docuseries. I gotta check. Jacob's drawings have stopped. But sometimes, just sometimes, when I close my eyes, I hear it. Finish the story. Only now it's not the house saying it. It's me. They say when you stare into the abyss stares back. But what they don't tell you is, sometimes it whispers, too. And if you listen long enough, you start whispering back. If the story got under your skin, smash that like button and comment below. What would you do if your house started whispering back? Don't forget to subscribe for more haunted revenge stories that twist the knife in just the right way. Until next time, keep your voice your own, or someone else might borrow it.